So in the case we use 1.5, it's going to be risky with a plane. So how many of you would cast this dog? Casting this dog would be maybe not be able to manage the deformity with the cast, not really well. Maybe we are lacking with some sort of attraction, or but it's guessing. And would be every 2 to 3 weeks recheck the cast, put the dog under general anesthesia to check the skin underneath, and in 2-3 weeks having skin issues and maybe local infection, and so reverse to something else with a bad skin. I'm not going to go through this. Or we can go internally. Do you have locking or non-locking system with 1 or 1.2 millimeter screws? We have now. We had no in the past, but now we have. Or we are in Russia. You are all familiar with Elizarov, an external ring fixator, right? I believe that. And so at that time, that was my choice. So what? So what? Was this a good alignment correction? Who can tell? We see nothing underneath the implant. I don't know. I didn't scale the system, but this is an issue. For that tiny dog, it was heavy. It was heavy to bring. But this is physical therapy.
Is it possible to little dog use these rings?
Would you like to use the for that?
Это возможно маленькой собаке вообще ходить вот с такой массивной конструкцией?
Yeah, but you went too fast for me. I thought you were using in English, sorry.
Yeah. Is it possible for a little dog walk with...
Yeah, it was. Maybe I have a movie to show how this dog was walking, and yeah, he was using the limb, not as it was without, with a plate and screw, but this was an option. This tiny wire were 0.6 millimeter in diameter, with a little tension. I tension manually with the needle holder, just to make them straight. It's not more than that. And but I couldn't see anything underneath the implant because of the metal. You agree? So maybe we don't care now. Just after surgery, we can check the alignment clinically. But what about the healing? How can I manage the implant removal? How can I know when it's going to get healed? That was the dog. So in proportion, wasn't that big. It was proportional to the dog. So it was able to walk. Those rings maybe are 40 millimeters in diameter. So for that dog, for that kind of dog or cat. So they can use it, the limb, not really as they would with an implant internally, but this was 2 weeks post-op. And we have also this. So limping, but also touching, using physical therapy. See, not the same as it was with an internal fixator, but acceptable. I would say acceptable. But in 4 weeks, I couldn't see the healing. So I told you, the older I get, the more I like the external fixator, but the less I use it because of these issues. They don't let me understand anything. We have now on the market rings made of carbon that they are almost radio transparent, not really transparent, but you can see it much better. But I was guessing, and at 7 weeks I removed the implant. And maybe if I waited a little bit more, I would have a fracture there because of this phenomenon from the wire. So I got the dog healed, but I was lucky because by experience I knew, I said, maybe it's healed. But I had no chance to see with any kind of oblique projection to see the fracture there. Now we have these implants made by Gianluca Rovesti and sold by this company at Maiora. And if you see here, you can see nicely through the implant, not as it was clear, but it's much, much, much better than with mine, where I couldn't see anything. We see the bone underneath the carbon rings. So if you start from scratch in the land of Elizarov, I would suggest to start with these ones, not with the metal ones. You should be really proud of this man. We all have got. I believe we as veterinarians, we should go on pilgrimage 2 times a year, one to the grave of Elizarov and the other one to the grave of Barclay's Locum, the man who designed and developed the TPLO technique. At least, but there are many others, but I believe that we should go on pilgrimage 2 times a year to the graves of these 2 men. They changed the world, our orthopedic world, not just veterinarians. So after, you see there, 2 months later, same dog, same fracture, different level. So the dog jumped from the same owner arms and got fractured, not where it was, but at a higher level. And the owner came to me complaining. How could it be? I told the owner, if you go under a car, you're not going to get immune to that for the second time. If you go under a car a second time, you get injured the second time. So it's not because I fix it. That means that it's not going to happen in the future. And so I demonstrate that the fracture was at a different level, not related with the wires, with this picture. And so I thought we need to get healed the fracture again. So what did I do in your opinion? We have a saying that said, if you have a team that is winning, you're not going to change anyone in the team, right? I don't know if you're followers of St. Petersburg team or Spartak Moscow. I don't know. I don't follow the soccer, the football. But usually, if you do something with success, you don't move to another thing. Would you agree? Usually. But this owner make me crazy because of this external fixator. She wanted to remove this external fixator. She made phone calls every week to me. Hey doctor, can we remove the implant because maybe the dog is got healing already and things. And so I said, I'm not going to get into external fixator anymore. And so I choose an implant, an internal fixator. This is a non-locking fixator. Same dog, same fracture, just a different level. So I wasn't drunk here, but those screws for that set are the shortest in the set. So I took the right measure, and I didn't want to cut the screw. Don't do that, because you're going to miss the thread. You're going to miss the thread, the power of the thread. And I don't remember, maybe those are 1.2 millimeter screws, and this is 1.5, 2 screws distally, 2 screws proximally, conventional, reducing the fracture, and that was my solution. But look at the post-op. I was able to see everything. The ulna, radius, reduction, alignment. I was happy with the alignment, and I was able to see everything but what was hidden by the plate. And what about the dog? Same 2 weeks, different story from a mobility point of view. Do you remember that the previous one? That was just toe touching, not. This is exactly the same dog, exactly the same limb, just a different level, just a different fixation. So, from a mobility point of view, here we go. We have the comparison of the two. Is now. Oh, here we go. You see, dog limping here, 2 weeks. The dog walking, I would say normally, with the plate inside. And at 5 weeks, I was able to judge the healing properly, and I was able to say at 3 months, I don't have any issue with the stress protection, with the ulna still in the healing phase. You see callus formation and primary healing where I put the plate with compression, and secondary tension healing at the level of the ulna. Why that? Because here is rigid fixation with compression, and there is healing through callus formation. It's stable enough for the healing, and at 6 months, what did I see is a little lucency between the plate and the bone here, maybe a screw loosening, a little pull out of the screws. That was good for me. That means that this implant was making the old construct more flexible to promote healing, and in fact the ulna got healed because of that. This is the same dog after complete healing. I don't remember how much farther, but here we have the progression. So the day of the fracture, or the preoperative X-ray, and we see here 1 month later and 2 months later, still the ulna in the healing process, and we here see 5 weeks, 8 weeks, 6 months, 1 year. So after that I said, Diana, we don't need any removal because we see no stress protection. The dog is doing fine. He was doing fine from beginning. And we see another case here. This is a poodle, 6 kilos, so a little bigger than the previous, 10 years old. This is T0, so softer bone, cork, hardness of the bone, because this dog is not 10 years, it's 10 months, or this 10 years is a mistake. I don't believe 10 years. I don't believe even 10 months. Maybe it's 4 months, 5 months. Sorry about that. Maybe it's the consequence of a copy and paste. But you see the physis here, how big is this physis? You don't believe in a 10 years old dog. I believe in a 4-month-old dog with a very soft bone. Maybe not good enough to hold conventional screws to get friction. So here I would move back. We have lunchtime.
Very short, 45 minutes.
45 minutes, yeah. I just finished this in a couple of minutes, and we're so what was your opinion of this in the treatment? Plating? exactly the same as before he was suggesting. I would be scared about that, because with the plate used as the friction, so the conventional plate, using conventional plate, the stability is given by the friction between the plate and the bone. So you need to pull the bone to the plate to get this friction, and if you pull the bone, the screw in this kind of bone really soft, you're gonna strip the thread into the bone. You're gonna make some sort of a cork phenomenon.
Use locking plate.
Right, with the locking plate would be different. This is the answer. So we saw the same pathology, the same toy dogs, or very similar, treated three different ways because of three different decision making we did. The first one, we did the external fixator with the Lizarov. The second was the bone was strong enough for the friction. This is not strong enough for the friction, and I agree with you, with the locking plate would be the choice. In fact, in this case, I used a locking plate. So I was able to see the fracture after healing, the alignment, what I couldn't see with the Elizarov technique, and after healing, I was able to check the dog again to see if this plate was too big and was providing stress protection. Let me jump to the last case before to go for lunch. This is another case. This is the 10-year dog, 6 kilos. This dog is the one we could use a conventional plate because we have thicker cortex, thicker plate, but nevertheless, I use a locking plate to be safe, a fixing plate. 3 screws proximally, 3 screws distally, and look at what happened here. We've got healing in the ulna before the healing at the radius. Why that? Because I made a mistake here and I chose a plate too big for that dog. You remember the graph is exponential. So we just need 0.2 millimeter thicker to have a much more rigid construct. Okay, we can get, I don't want to skip this because this is really important to understand why and when we need locking and when we don't want locking and we want to take advantage of the locking system because they are so powerful, but in very few cases, better to know what can happen with them before we start using them. So I don't want to skip this. We can go for lunchtime and then we can retrieve from this point. Have a good time. I see you later.
Уважаемые коллеги, у нас, значит, ну что, у нас в России молодежь говорит, лектор красавчик, да?